Good afternoon. I'm Doug Shipman, Atlanta City Council President, calling to order this regularly scheduled meeting of the Atlanta City Council, Monday, January 8th, 2024. Happy New Year. Welcome back, everyone. Excited to get going in the new year. With that, I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Good afternoon. Council President Shipman.
Present.
Council members at large Michael Julian Bond, Matt Westmoreland.
Here.
Keisha Sean Waits. Council members Jason Winston. Here. Amir Faroki. Here. Byron Amos. Here. Jason Dozier. Liliana Bakhtiari. Alex Wan. Howard Shook. Mary Norwood. Dustin Hillis. Andrea L. Boone. Marcy Collier Overstreet. Antonio Lewis. Quorum present.
Thank you. Next, we'll move to the adoption of the agenda. It was sent out ahead of time. Are there any changes to the agenda? If not, I will entertain a motion to adopt. Moved by Councilmember Hillis, seconded by Councilmember Wan. Is there any discussion on the motion to adopt the agenda? We can do this via unanimous consent without objection. Any objection to the motion to adopt? Madam Clerk, please sound the count on unanimous consent.
Unanimous consent is 10 yeas, 0 nays.
10 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to adopt the agenda carries. Next, it is my pleasure to welcome Reverend Katie Owen Amon, the pastor of Morningside Presbyterian Church, who is here with us today to provide our invocation, the first of the new year.
Thank you, Council President Shipman, for the invitation, and it's an honor to be with you this morning and to pray blessing upon your work. It is certainly a big day with a lot of wisdom and experience in the building and in this very room, and so it's an honor to be with you. As a Presbyterian, I'm reminded that one of our founding theologians, John Calvin, said that the work of civil servants, like yourself, was among the highest positions called by God, even above pastors like myself, because you are entrusted with the well-being of society. So it's an honor to be with you. Thank you for your leadership, and let me invite us into a word of prayer. Holy and merciful God, we begin our days aware of blessings that are beyond our control. The beauty of a new day as the sun rises each morning, the possibility for community and connection, the capacity for meaningful work and love of neighbor, our very breath. For these things we are grateful. As we begin a new year, we are aware of the possibilities to make this city and your world a better place. So help us to believe in new beginnings and to strive toward the greater good. In the work of this council, may they offer hope for the despairing, vision for the aspiring, reconciliation for the divided, safety for the fearful, and peace and joy for all those entrusted to their care. We give thanks for the call placed upon these leaders to guide the city toward a place of flourishing for all. So grant them listening ears to one another and to those they're called to serve. Bless them with discerning minds and understanding hearts. Instill in them both the patience and the imagination necessary to work toward a sense of beloved community. So we pray blessing upon Atlanta and all who live and labor within its bounds. Fill the city with peace as its leaders work toward justice. Inspire neighborliness and a sense of responsibility to one another. Watch over the least of these whom you call your children. Grant us caring hearts toward all, from those with plenty to those who struggle to find safe shelter and a sense of security. Create opportunities for growth, not just economically, but in our spirits, that kindness, compassion, mercy, and joy might define this city's character. Then, above all, O God, grant us a sense of humility, that all we are able to do is but a slice of your greater story that ends in shalom, in your deep, abiding peace for all. So it is in your many names that we pray. Amen.
Before our distinguished guests take their seats, I would ask you to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you're already standing, please remain standing. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, it is my pleasure to welcome Councilmember Michael Julian Bond to present a very special proclamation honoring Maynard Jackson and his inauguration. And all of those who have come to join us for this proclamation, please come forward and join us up here on the dais. Don't be shy.
Councilmember Michael Julian Bond, and I'm joined here on the dais by members of the Jackson family and elected officials. We have just left, for your information, a very moving tribute to Mayor Maynard Jackson's 50th anniversary upon his election. Our celebration would not be complete without welcoming our former mayors who have joined us. And of course, as you know, Maynard was elected in '73. The Public Accommodations Act was 1965. Mayors, you do not have to sit in the colored section anymore. Please join us here on the dais. And we have mayors in the order of their service, Mayors Campbell, Mayor Franklin, Mayor Reed, Mayor Bottoms, and Mayor Dickens. Has Valerie made it in? Oh, she's on her way? Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Come on all the way up front, mayors. Okay. And as we await the arrival of Miss Valerie Jackson, she's here? She's here. Let's give her a big round of applause. Mayor Bottoms, come on all the way up to the front, please. But as I was saying, we are empaneled here today to present a proclamation on behalf of the city of Atlanta to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the election of Maynard Holbrook Jackson as the first African-American mayor of the city of Atlanta and one of the first in the southeastern United States of a major American city. His actual election day was October the 16th of 1973 and was sworn in on January the 7th of 1974. And so we are here. Where is she? All the way up here? Right? Oh, she's right behind me. Okay. All right. Just have faith, Michael. I should have just had faith that you were standing right here. So I don't want to begin without you. So we have a proclamation in recognition of the 50th anniversary of the election of Mayor Maynard H. Jackson. And whereas in recognition of the 50th anniversary of the election of Maynard H. Jackson, whereas the Atlanta City Council is pleased to recognize the 50th anniversary of recognize the 50th anniversary of the city of Atlanta's 54th mayor, Mayor Maynard Jackson, in 1973. Jackson was elected in the city's first African-American mayor, whereas we commemorate this historic milestone with great pride and reference. Mayor Maynard Jackson's election constituted change in the South, as his appointment was the first of any major city in the region. And whereas Mayor Maynard Jackson's election on October the 16th, 1973, and its inauguration on January the 7th, 1974, shattered the precedent and marked a pivotal moment in the history of our beloved city and the nation, demonstrating the potential for progress and equality. Whereas Mayor Maynard Jackson took on an incumbent and won the racially polarized election with nearly 60% of the vote. He served 3 terms, the second longest in the city's history as mayor, as he hired more black police officers, ensured minority contractors landed more city business contracts, and completed the new terminal at Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. In 2003, the city added Mayor Jackson's name to commemorate his rebuilding efforts of the airport in the 1970s, and whereas Mayor Jackson's leadership, vision, and unwavering commitment to civil rights, economic empowerment, and inclusivity reshaped the trajectory of Atlanta, establishing a foundation for a city that would become a beacon of hope and opportunity for all people and backgrounds. Whereas under Mayor Jackson's guidance, the city of Atlanta expanded access to education, job opportunities, affordable housing, leaving an indelible mark on the city's infrastructure and fostering a spirit of unity, cooperation for diverse communities. And whereas we acknowledge the 50th anniversary of Mayor Maynard Jackson's historic election, his legacy extends far beyond his tenure in the office, as his contributions inspired leaders and citizens alike from around the nation. We must commit ourselves to upholding these principles of equality, justice, opportunity that he championed. We will strive to honor his memory by building a stronger and more inclusive Atlanta for generations. And now, therefore, we, the members of the Atlanta City Council, when they have to sit in the city of Atlanta, hereby proclaim this day in honor of the 50th election of Mayor Maynard Jackson. I have set my hand and have caused the seal of the city of Atlanta to be hereunto affixed. Congratulations, Ms. Jackson. Just squeeze in for a quick photo for me. Oh, don't tilt it down.
Oh, that way.
Yeah. And before we hear from the family, I wanted to ask my colleagues or any of the former mayors if they'd like to make any remarks.
Yeah, at the, we did, they did at the first.
Anyone? Okay. Oh, come on up, Mr. Lewis.
And thank you, Mr. Bond. I hate when I go after you because you're so articulate in your history of what happened in the city of Atlanta. But when I heard former Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms say her year she was born today, I thought about what Mayor Maynard Jackson was thinking about 50 years later. So as a city council person who was a part of his dream, I hope, who grew up in this city, who needed the programs, who understood that Mayor Shirley Franklin was going to create a program called Next Step Program, which will be a growth from the summer program that taught me how to swim. I needed Mayor Maynard Jackson to take over the leadership of this city. I understand that he led a generation. He led a watershed moment, and he made a memory in Atlanta that is going to change the entire world, and I appreciate being a part of that history. And I want to say 50 years, 50 years, 50 years. I can't wait till we see 150 years. Let's go.
Mr. President.
Thank you. I just wanted to briefly say just a couple of things. One, there are two people in the audience I would acknowledge. One is Calvin Smyrie, who's sitting right there, who's done so much for our state.
We need to join
And I don't know why he's not up here on the stage with us. Come on up. And the other is Pearl Clegg,
Yes.
who is here. Pearl worked with Maynard Jackson closely, was one of the folks who helped him articulate his public vision. But in all of the accolades we talk about, as we should, with Maynard Jackson, I also believe that many of the cultural milestones that we have seen in this city for the last 50 years, many of those milestones that these former mayors enacted, whether it was the Olympics or the expansion of our arts community or the building of our institutions like the Center for Civil and Human Rights, Maynard understood the power of culture, the power of those soft assets in building of our city. Camille Love is here, and she's been such a big part of that for so many years. And I just wanted to take a moment to say, in the midst of all the political change that he drove, Atlanta would not influence everything were it not for Maynard Jackson.
Amen.
Mayor Franklin. I'll try to take a page out of your book and keep it under 5 minutes. My name's Liliana Bakhtiari. I'm blessed enough to be the council member for District forever honored and forever humbled. And I carry that with me always in the serving of this seat, because I can't think of another city where I would have had the opportunity, feeling like very much an outsider, but no longer to be included in this city. And I thank the Maynard Jackson legacy for that. So thank you.
Councilmember Amos.
Good afternoon, everyone. You know, as a black male growing up in the city of Atlanta, I just have to smile today. I have to be hopeful today. but as a representative and a resident of Vine City, and understanding that those are some of the streets that Maynard Jackson roamed long before he became mayor, understanding his lineage and just the support that he had. But more importantly, as a chair and a vice chair of the Neighborhood Planning Unit. Yes, the airport changed Atlanta, but the NPU sustained Atlanta. You know? And we must remember the hand and the genius that it took to actually do the NPU system, in which we're about to celebrate another celebration in its anniversary as well. But to the family and to all my elected friends and former elected officials, just thank you for carrying on his mantle, his power, his passion, and I just hope that we that are elected now is preparing to move it and pass it on to the next generation as well. Thank you.
Okay, and I also want Ms. Klieg and anyone who is a part of his administration, you're welcome to join us on the dais. And so we almost insist that you do. Yes. And so any other remarks from anyone on the dais? No? That's elected? Ms. Jackson.
Thank you, Councilman Bond. And thank each and every one of you here today. Thank you. I'm going to read my remarks because this morning has been so emotional for me. I can't depend on my memory and my emotions right now. Thank you, first of all, Mayor Dickens, and all of the former mayors who joined us this morning and who gave such gratifying remarks about Maynard. Thank you very much. And all of those here on the stand, the council people who spoke just now. Sorry, I'm trying to get it together. Like I said, this has been a very emotional morning for me. I was not present at Maynard's first inauguration. We didn't meet until 2 years into his first term, right after he became Atlanta's most eligible bachelor. However, I've read his inaugural address many times. And in that first address, Maynard spoke of an Atlanta under new leadership, facing exaggerated fears of whites and exaggerated expectations of blacks. He knew that we would need a new type of politics. He emphasized in that address all Atlanta, black and white, rich and poor, must work together in a new union under a new type of politics, the politics of inclusion. Maynard's goal was not to diminish white Atlanta, but to take Atlanta to a position of racial and economic fairness. Just a few of them were: love must be safe and affordable housing. Love must be a good education for all of our children. Love must be access to economic opportunities for everyone. Love must be the absence of racism and sexism. If Maynard was here today, he's with me every day. But if he was here in person today, in these turbulent and difficult times, I think he would talk about love again. Perhaps how love demands that we take action and make choices. Our lives are an unending series of choices, and if we don't make them ourselves, somebody else will do it for us. I wouldn't be surprised if he were making comments here that he wouldn't stop for a moment and mention how the words to choose translate into the Latin word votum, which means to vote. I think he would urge us to do our homework in all aspects of our lives, private and public, so that we might make wise choices, wise votes, whether it's a zoning issue or a public bond, local or national elections. If we love this city and believe we can be even better, we need to act on behalf of that belief. Maynard ended his first inaugural address with the words, "We," quote, "can show the world that here is a city too strong not to fight, too loving not to care, and too great to turn away," end quote. It's our love, our actions, our choices that will continue to build this great city. Finally, I know Maynard would also say today, thank you. Thank you. Thank each and every one of you for being a part of his legacy. He knows that he didn't do it alone. It took the laying on of hands of thousands to help create the legacy of Maynard Jackson. Thank you all for continuing to lift up his legacy of commitment, integrity, service, and love for Atlanta. Inevitably, Atlanta was going to have a black mayor because of the population ratio. And I think we should just thank God that the first black mayor was a man of intelligence, a man of vision, a man of determination, and a man who loved this city tremendously. Love and blessings to all of you, and I hope the very best for each of you in this new year. Thank you.
Just quickly, so we can get it on the record, will members of the family please just wave your hand so that the public can see you? Will members of the Jackson administration, first, second, or third, please wave your hand so the public can see you? That's a lot of good pension money that you just saw. Well, those who worked on the campaigns, first, second, or third, just wave your hand. Right? Well, those who had the opportunity to go to David T. Howard with Maynard, anybody here? No David T. Howard Rams. What about Booker T. Washington Bulldogs? Any Bulldogs over there? Wow. What about Morehouse Tigers? Yeah, we're here. And of course, it was in North Carolina State where he got his North Carolina Central State Law School. Anybody from North Carolina Central? Okay. Any friends? Okay. What about Atlantans? Any Atlantans here that appreciate and love the legacy of Maynard Jackson? Let's wave our hands and clap our hands for that. Well, we had a very good program out in the atrium sponsored by our mayor and the administration jointly with members of the City Council, Office of Constituent Services, and volunteers that gathered to put on. And it's my hope, Mayor Dickens, that it will run on Channel 26 so that the public can take advantage of it. And of course, with that, if there are no other remarks, we will do what fellow Morehouse man, friend of Maynard Jackson, said that the City Council does best. We will take a picture right here in front. And so I'd like to ask, that's a joke. You're supposed to laugh. You're supposed to laugh at that. But I'd like the mayors, along with the family, to come up front and all of us to gather in. But as we do that, I would be remiss if I didn't mention Maynard's 3 Bs, the book, the ballot, and the buck. That's right. So we want to make sure that we're uplifting and providing knowledge of that, because it is from that drop in Atlanta's fertile seed, the ripple effects of what his administration has done for hard, good public policy, and as our council president stated, the soft policy, the human side of that policy that we're still enjoying at this very moment. So if you all would care to come forward.
Thank you all. Thank you all very much for being here, for being a part of this very special day. Thank you all for being here on this special day. We're going to move forward with our agenda. A couple of members asked me about a moment of silence and remembrances. We're going to do that at the end today, just given the attendance of the proclamation. Now we will move forward with remarks from the public. I would remind everyone who has come to speak that you'll have up to 2 minutes. If you've signed up, you can, unless you have yielded time, I will let you know if you have yielded time. First today will be Michelle Chapman. Sorry if I mispronounce anybody's name, just correct me. You have up to 2 minutes.
Good afternoon, City Council. My name is Michelle Chapman, and I am the office manager in the Department of... Can you hear me? It's on.
Can we make sure the mic is on for the public? Can you just test it to make sure? Sorry.
It's green.
It's on.
Can you hear me now?
Hold just a second. Let's make sure we get it so that everyone can hear it.
So maybe I'll take my mask down and speak a little louder.
It's still not really picking you up. Can we make sure that that mic's on? Is it on?
It's on. Okay, there
There
it
you go.
is.
You have up to 2 minutes.
Good afternoon, City Council. My name is Michelle Chapman, and I am an office manager in the Department of Public Works, the Office of Fleet Service. I stand before you this afternoon asking, better yet, pleading with you to make the premium pay, the $4.12, a permanent part of our salary. Let me tell you why this is imperative to us. 3 years ago, I found myself in a situation, facing a divorce, living a life that I had known for 26 years, and I was forced to find a place to live. I was not allowed to find a place in the city of Atlanta because I couldn't afford to live in the very city that I work for. I moved to Noonan, Georgia, and I rented an apartment for $1,400 a month. That was 3 years ago. Today, I'm in the same apartment, and now I'm paying $2,000 a month. That's a $600 increase over 3 years. Now, if you remove the $412 from my salary, that takes away about $660 a month. There's no way that I would be able to continue to live, even in Noonan, Georgia. So I'm just coming before you, pleading with you that you would take into consideration. I come to work every day, and I do the very best that I can for the constituents and the city of Atlanta. So I'm just asking you to find it in your hearts to make this a permanent part of my salary, for I could not live without it. I'm barely living with it, but I definitely would not live without it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next will be T. Boynton. You'll have up to 2 minutes.
Good evening. I'm Tarek Boynton, Senior Technician of Fleet Services. We'll begin this $4.12 for the last 3 or 4 years has been a tremendous help in our households. Taking the money now would be a big disservice to the employees that are getting it. It is not like everything needed. The money is helping us to sustain our cost of living with the rate. We have not gotten raises, and it's sustaining the things that we need. Taking the money now would change a lot of things for a lot of us. So I would just ask and plead that y'all do not take this money because we need it. We got kids going to college. We got, cost of living is just terrible. So I would just thank you for listening to me and taking all this in consideration. My next point would be the comp time. We got comp time during COVID because we couldn't sit at home. A lot of our constituents were able to sit at home and work from home, but we had to be the boots on the ground to come in and help keep the city rolling. And now it's a threat of you guys taking the comp time and or either making us use it when y'all said that it would be safe, but now it's different. So I just thank you for letting the people keep the comp time and our 412. Thank you.
Thank you. Next will be Tim McLean. You'll have up to 2 minutes.
Yes, I'm pretty much here for the same reason, to continue the 412. It's a good morale booster. There's a lot of people here that say that they just can't live without it. They basically can't adapt to going back, missing $300 a pay period, and it's the difference between them eating or having a place to stay. So, like I said, I think it's a good morale booster. I think it's a good pitch for recruitment and everything else. So I ask that you continue to keep it in place as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Aisha Green. You have up to 2 minutes.
Good afternoon, Council. It's truly been a blessing to receive this 412 for me. With how drastically the world has changed since the pandemic, I will not be able to survive without it, honestly, and I'm barely surviving with it. I've been a loyal employee with integrity, great personality, excellent rapport with coworkers and vendors, with nothing to show for it. Taking that 412 will cripple me and my kids' well-being. Although I am thankful, it's still barely keeping me afloat. Taking that 412 would set me back 20 years. Honestly, I made more money in my 20s than I am now. And it's been so difficult trying to get ahead or get in a better position within the city, just being here. The raise is also a blessing, but the raise honestly is not enough. It doesn't compare to the cost of living that we are in today. It's upsetting to know that the city that I was born and raised in, with what I thought was a privilege to now serve in, really taking that 412 would let me know it don't really care about me or my kids' well-being. So I beg of you, please keep this in place for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Next will be Prentice Ivy. You have up to 2 minutes.
Good afternoon. My name is Prentice Ivy. I am a vehicle equipment mechanic for the City of Atlanta's Fleet Services. I chose to speak out today to voice my opinion about the 412 that is in danger of being taken away because it would greatly affect my already harsh living situation and my ability to properly take care of my children. I'm a father of 4. I have 2 6-year-olds, a 3-year-old, and a 6-month-old. I currently reside at a rooming house where my wages greatly affect what I am already, well, they greatly affect what I can't afford. I can't afford to live anywhere else because of the rising cost of living and food prices. I come to work every day. I clock in at 7 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. I diagnose, repair, complete dozens of pieces of equipment on a weekly basis. I am a very dedicated employee, and I absolutely love what I do. To take the $4.12 away will not only show the lack of concern for your fellow employees, but will also show the unwillingness to compromise to provide a better work environment. It also shows that management could care less about financial hardships endured by its employees or lack thereof, as long as your wages are not affected. I ask that you consider us, the ones who keep DPW running, to make this dire decision. I also want to speak to you from the heart to let you know that we, as DPW, we consider ourselves family. And to lose one would be to lose each and every last one of us, to be honest. And that's a spiritual and physical thing. So thank you.
Thank you. Next will be Devin Barrington Ward. You'll have up to 2 minutes.
Happy New Year, folks. Today is an amazing day. I got to see my friend and ally in the work, Alfred Shivy Brooks, sworn into his new seat on the Atlanta School Board. And we're celebrating 50 years of Maynard Jackson. Today is an incredible day. And I appreciated that Valerie Jackson talked about love, that we need the politics of love. And love is affordable housing. Love is ending the stranglehold that income inequality has had on this city for far too long. Love is safer streets, and love is democracy. It's voting rights. It's ensuring that people have access to the ballot on issues that will have a profound impact, both economically, environmentally, as a public safety implications for generations to come. Love is honoring the voices of the hundreds of people who came to this body last year and provided over 15 hours of public comment, the 116,000 people who signed petition signatures across the city saying that they believe in democracy. Those people that signed that petition, they didn't say that they were in support or not in support of the proposed training center. They said that they were in support of democracy. Those petitions are an indication that people believe in democracy. It's 2024, and we have a man on the ballot who led an insurrection. But let me tell you, insurrection is not the only threat to democracy. A threat to democracy is when a local government denies the voices of the people who have said that they want a vote, whether they support the project or not. And so this isn't about whether you support public safety or not. That's a dog whistle. What this is about is whether or not you all support democracy or not. Let's not dishonor Maynard Jackson's memory on 50 years by not honoring democracy in the cradle of the civil rights movement. Thank you.
Thank you. Next will be Margie McLeod. You'll have up to 2 minutes.
Thank y'all. Merry Christmas. I guess a Happy New Year's, because I know y'all year is better. I've come down here. I'm shocked what I'm hearing. And maybe I don't have all the information that I know. I come back for rent control and for minimum wages, and y'all gonna cut these people $4.12. I didn't come for this. I came for thank you, because I'm gonna have other people besides me start coming down here. And I want y'all to support the Senate Bill 125 at the Capitol. And please step over there and help Senator Donzella James. But what I'm saying to you, $4.12, why are you gonna take it back? You know what we're going through. I didn't come down for this, but I'm hearing this. I hear it every day. Why y'all cutting it back $4.12? Why? Tell me. Maybe I'm not supposed to get in this fight. I don't want to get in this fight because I got other things, Senate Bill 125. Mayor Jackson, courage. Y'all say he had courage. And that's what we need. We got to find out, why are y'all cutting these people $4.12? Why are you taking it back? Love. You got a pay raise. You want me to take your pay raise back? Cut you? Okay, and then you know how it feels. Because I see it every day. They come into your job, they work every day, and this is how you're going to treat them? That's what I'm just saying. Just a matter they cut your paycheck. That make a difference. So chicken that. I don't want to have this fight because election time, this is the year. And some of y'all not going to get back in. I'm just telling you the truth. I'm just letting y'all know that. Do your job. Have courage. Find out why are you cutting them $4.12. And y'all have a blessed day, because I know y'all had a good New Year, because you don't see me no more. But you're going to see me. You're not going to see me, but you're going to see other people. Because Ms. Margie is tired now.
Time has expired.
And thank you, President. And I'm glad, I don't know what you're going to run for, but hey, we got to make it happen. Rent control.
Thank you. Next will be Prophet Curtis Harrison. You have up to 2 minutes.
Amen. Praise the Lord. I come in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, Father, Son, Holy Ghost, prophet of God. It's called by God and sent by God. Now, let me say this. I'm talking to folk at every branch of the government about homelessness, because I'm tired of talking. Now, y'all going to take these people's money on a raise right around Christmas and holiday time. Now, I'm going to talk lightly, and y'all got up here, the microphone wasn't working when this lady was talking. That's unprofessional. But you want people to be unprofessional. Then y'all went in y'all seats when this lady was talking. That's two unprofessional things that City Council did not do. Now, I pay attention to detail. I'm a very detailed person. But you want respect. So if I call you out your name, then y'all call the police and want to get people thrown out. But y'all just disrespected this woman 3 times. See, but y'all want respect. Now, I'm going to wave bye to you. I'm going to wave bye to y'all. So a lot of y'all. I said it before, and I'm going to say it again. I don't really got to protest. I can pray about it, and God will remove you. So I'm going to let you know that. So I want some of y'all to be gone, okay? Because this is a mess. Y'all got people defecating on your streets. I'm saying defecation because I respect the elderly and I respect the children. Y'all got people using the bathroom on your streets. You got people freezing to death on your streets. City council, commissioners, Fulton County, DeKalb County. And you telling this prophet right here that know the word of God, you telling me God ain't going to see you. You telling me that. You telling me God ain't going to walk down your street. He said, I think Martin Luther King said it too, if you did it unto them, you did it unto me. When did we do it unto you? When you didn't do it for them, you did it unto God. So God's going to repay you. If you get it right now, or you're going to get it right later.
Time's expired.
Well, what they told me, if you don't take care of your health when you're young, you're going to reap the benefits when you're old. Remember one thing.
Thank you. Time's expired.
Divided we fall. It's together we stand, divided we fall.
Thank you.
You understand something. If you don't get it together now, God will have to take drastic measures. So you deal with it.
Next up will be Ken Roebling.
You deal with it. It ain't over. It ain't over.
Have up to 2 minutes.
Good afternoon, Council. 2024, a new year, new opportunities. 2024 is going to be an exciting year. It is an election year for federal offices, but it's not an election year for you. You new people have a whole year to prove to the Atlanta voters that you deserve to keep your job. Back in 2022, I showed you where corruption was getting $48 million of taxpayer money. The corruptors got that, not the people who were supposed to be doing the work. In this new year, you'll again be challenged to stop corruption. It will not be easy. The corruptors think that their money is what you're voting on. It's not their money, it's the taxpayers' money. And Atlanta expects you to spend that money wisely. The corruptors will try to get rid of you one way or another. Hang in there and show the citizens of Atlanta that you deserve their support. Thank you.
Thank you. Next will be Henry Jordan. You have up to 2 minutes.
Giving honor to the Spirit of God, everyone that's here. Righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. Proverbs 14, chapter 34, verse. National righteousness and national sin have opposite effects. Exhortation versus reproach. I had a dream to help James Griffiths to get myself between two big dirty trucks filled with dirt, and the dirt falls on me. And immediately the angel of the Lord smote him, because he gave not God the glory, and he was eaten of worms and gave up the ghost. Acts 12, chapter 23rd verse. Herod, arrayed in royal apparel, made an oration unto them, and the people gave a shout, the voice of God. I asked Jesus, let me not seek to take his glory for what he has done in me. It's a danger when you don't give Christ his glory. Moreover, the prince shall not take of the people's inheritance by oppression, to thrust them out of their possession, but he shall give his sons inheritance out of his own possession, that my people be not scattered, every man from his possession. Ezekiel 46, chapter 18, verse. Finally, the offerings and feasts of the new worship are prescribed to practice justice for our deliverance. Jesus gives the people evidence that you will fight for me. Then remember out of the word of the Lord how that he said, John indeed baptized with water, but ye shall be baptized with the Holy Ghost. Acts 11, chapter 18, 16 verse. Then Peter said, then remembered how Christ promised that he would baptize in the Holy Spirit. We need the Holy Spirit to fight against Satan's power in us and around us. I had a dream about the homeless people that have a gift for God to deliver the people. They're scared to come forth because of how y'all actions are.
Next up will be Ebony Walton Pace. We'll have up to 2 minutes. Oh, sorry, Ebony Walton from Pace. Sorry about that.
That's all right. Happy New Year. Again, I'm Ebony Walton. I am the Vice President of PACE. And of course, we want to discuss about the vacation carryover time. So we know that vacation time is essential for reducing stress. It helps gather your mental health better for most of the employees, and it prevents burnout. Also, President Pagnotta could not be here, I'm sorry, so I'm here in her stead. She's a little under the weather. But during COVID, you guys showed the employees that they were important, so you incentivized them. You gave them the FFCRA time, you gave them extra monies to 412, and now COVID is over, it seems like these same employees that were incentivized have now become a liability. So we want them to not feel like they're a liability to the city, that they are still these important employees that come to work every day, Sunday through Monday, 7 days a week, some of these employees. So we would like to, again, PACE wants to come to the table to have a discussion to either push in that overage time to go back into retirement, or we can wait till 2025 before you start taking these reductions of the 25% per quarter. We waiting for the meeting to come to the table for that, and again, with these $4.12, these people need their money. They need the money. It's helped sustain them this far, and again, it's still not enough, but they need the money. When you are telling these people that you're going to, we're using the lose it or use it, and we know what vacation stands for, we know what it means, what these employees need, what message are we really sending them? Are we sending them that we care about their work-life balance, or we don't care about it? So we just, PACE is asking you guys to let us come to the table and discuss this vacation time. Thank you.
Thank you. Next will be Tiffany Williams-Roberts. Due to yielded time, you'll have up to 6 minutes.
Happy New Year. My name is Tiffany Roberts. I am the Director of Public Policy for the Southern Center for Human Rights, and I'm joined here by some of my colleagues. As we greet 2024, we thought it prudent to retrospectively look at the last few years and some of the recommendations that Southern Center has made to this body on multiple occasions. And of course, those recommendations are related to our mission to decriminalize race and poverty in America's Deep South. You all know Movement Policy Counsel Devin Franklin, and although I have not addressed this body in the last year, he has come before you regularly as a full council and in your various committees to update you on data and best practices, and also to invite you to some advocacy events designed to make legislators better equipped to address race and poverty in the criminal legal systems in our state and city. Most notably, he invited you to our Pain and Power Symposium in August, where data scientist Samuel Sinyangwe, who is the creator of mappingpoliceviolence.org, which is the only database of its kind because we do not have federal collection of data related to police violence. Samuel issued a keynote and joined community members who talked to you about policy recommendations to reduce police violence in the city. His data demonstrates that APD uses more force per arrest than 83% of other departments nationwide, has a higher level of arrest for low-level offenses as compared to 85% of other departments, uses more deadly force per arrest than 88% of other departments, and 100% of unarmed people killed in the city of Atlanta are Black. The full symposium report has been provided to you before. We provided to you here again today, and we'd like to thank Council Members Bond, Dozier, and Bakhtiari for your attendance. We want to thank President Shipman and Council Members Westmoreland and Amos for sending your regrets, and we hope that a lot more of you will join us on February the 22nd for the second installment of this symposium. Again, the stakeholders, in our view, are the community members most impacted by police violence, not just the families who survive people who are killed by police, but the people who survive the violence of the state. The recommendations that we make are not new to you. They're contained in multiple reports, including the Use of Force Advisory Council's report that I co-chaired with Jonathan Rapping. They are to require comprehensive and accurate reporting that can be audited by a third party, remove criminal penalties from the municipal code, require APD to deprioritize drug and quality of life offenses, fund wraparound services for individuals facing prosecution, decriminalize the traffic code and traffic enforcement, ban quotas and point systems in APD because they do have a points-based evaluation system in our police department, and redirect a portion of APD funding to PAD. And we understand that this legislative body does not control all of those recommendations. Our recommendations are multi-jurisdictional and multi-level. We want to note that despite uprisings in 2020 and this city implementing all of the 8 Can't Wait policy reforms, we have not seen a marked decrease in police violence in this city. And in fact, from 2021 to 2022, police violence increased. And on a national level, as reflected on Mapping Police Violence in the United States is at record numbers for 2023 than other years in recent history. So as we celebrate a reduction in homicides in the city of Atlanta, we can't forget the people who are experiencing increased or sustained police violence in our community, not the least of these being Deacon Johnny Holman. And one wonders if some of the recommendations had been embraced prior to August, would Deacon Holman still be with us today? With respect to the crime wave narrative from 2020, we saw an increase in in homicides across the nation in 2020. In 2020, we pointed you to research and data that where public health officials and statisticians were saying that that increase in violence was related to the pandemic, and as the impact of the pandemic subsided, so too would violence, homicides, right? And now we are in 2023, and all of the data scientists were right. And the nation is celebrating as though tough on crime tactics brought this on, but we as community members, community advocates, remember when we told you that it was ill-advised to implement any new legislation for what was a temporary problem tethered to COVID. With respect to the Fulton County Jail in August, we told you that the 700 beds leased to Fulton County would not cause violence or death or the humanitarian crisis in the jail to subside. We told you that the jail would remain overcrowded. We told you that people would continue to be harmed. And in 2023, 10 people died in Fulton County custody, and one of them died in the Atlanta City Detention Center in your building under your lease. She was a 19-year-old woman who was actually represented by Southern Center in our class action lawsuit. We told you that these things would happen. We want to point to the contempt order contained in the materials we provided to you. A federal judge last week found Sheriff Labatt to be in contempt of the settlement order of that agreement, of that lawsuit, okay? So we want to remind you that we remain at your disposal. We want to remind you that city workers should not have to beg for wages when APF and APD have a blank check. Chokwe Lumumba said, if you do not love the people, you will betray the people. And because we love the people, we remain at your disposal and the disposal of the city of Atlanta, the people of the city of Atlanta. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next up will be Craig Ingram. You'll have up to 2 minutes.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Craig Ingram, and I'm a representative of PACE. I'm also a 38-year employee with the City of Atlanta. I'm coming to you from the Department of Public Works, especially for sanitation. A lot of our employees have worked during COVID. I was one of them. I never missed a day. I'm always here on time. But every day when I come to work, I hear the concerns of these employees. They do not want this 412 to go away. In fact, they want it to be added to their regular salaries to help their families. We have people that was actually sleeping in their cars. We have people that was homeless. They come to me every day with their concerns. I'm coming to you to ask you all from your heart to just take in consideration of adding this 412 to the regular salary. I understand that 3.5 is going to be okay, but we still have people that's suffering because of inflation. The other question I wanted to ask you all about is our vacation overage time. I have a lot of overage time, a bunch of overage time, because I don't miss no days. I'm always here. And I feel the employees, I really do. So I'm coming to y'all on the behalf of not only for myself, but all city employees, that we need this money. Take it in consideration in your hearts. I appreciate it.
Next up will be Carlton Ham. You'll have up to 2 minutes.
Good afternoon. My name is Carlton Ham. I've been with the city for 27 years. I'm here to appeal to City Council and the mayor for the 412 and also for the COVID time. I'm hearing that it's going to be taken away as far as if you don't use it, you lose it. But we were here in the trenches every day, and I don't think that that should be taken away from us, from something that we earned. Or if you use it, you're only going to get a quarter of it. So basically, you're telling us to take off and use it instead of losing it. That will deplete the workforce, and that'll minimize work getting done. So I think you need to rethink that issue. And the last issue is the retaliation issue that we have over at Watershed for our section, the valve team. I sent out retaliation in the workplace to all city council some time back. I could resend it again. And 9 of those points, we've been retaliated against 7 out of the 9 points that were given. They're trying to move and break our team up again. We've been fighting against this. We've been a group for over 12 years. And now all of a sudden, they want to break us up and they have better ideas, which they're not better ideas. So please help us on that. And please continue to support us. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank everybody who came for public comment today. I'm going to recognize, before we keep moving, Councilmember Overstreet.
Thank you, President Shipman. What they're speaking about today really is important. So I just want to make sure that we are on the record speaking to the facts of what's actually happening with the $4.12. So if we can get either CFO Bala or Deputy CFO Carr to speak about it so that we can all know exactly what's happening with the 412.
Somebody from Finance like to speak to that?
Yes, good afternoon, Yolanda Carr, Deputy CFO. So as a part of the budget process and looking at the numbers that we have not reduced premium pay, and we do not have plans on reducing the premium pay. It is a part of the employees' pay, and it will continue. And I do see our city attorney, Ms. Nina Hickson, and I think she would like to chime in as well.
Madam City Attorney.
What I'd like to say is the initial source of the premium pay was money related to COVID. That money has run out. Even though that has run out, the city took on the responsibility of continuing to pay employees that amount, and that amount will continue to be paid, and there is no plan to do a reduction. So I think the confusion lies in the fact that the COVID-related funding no longer exists, but despite the fact that it no longer exists, the city is still paying that amount. So there is no intent, there has not been any reduction, and there's no intent for there to be a reduction because that source no longer exists.
Well, thank you both for weighing in on that. I do want to say for the record that it is important to me that that 412 remains with them. And as a city, I'm pretty sure that for FY25, it will be in our budget, and it doesn't have to come from federal funds for it to be a priority for this council.
Councilmember Lewis, do you want to speak to this briefly?
Speaking to the same exact thing, but adding one thing to what Councilmember Marcia Carr Overstreet said. At fiscal year 25, I want to see if there's a way we can make this a part of their salary, their hourly wages, so that their pension and their benefits can be affected, because a lot of folks have been working and receiving this benefit for the past 4 or 5 years, and they, while appreciative of receiving the benefit while they're risking their lives, their benefits overall when they retire are not affected. For example, if the 412 is coming to them as premium pay instead of regular pay, and so when a person like my brother who just spoke last retires, his numbers for his pension won't be accounted with the inclusion of him working for 5, maybe what looks like we're going to keep this money coming, what looks like will be 20 years of working with premium pay, but they won't be able to receive the final portion. And so I will hope, my question to law and to the finance department is are we planning, since we're going to keep this, are we planning to, in fiscal year 25, make this a part of a person's regular salary?
Good afternoon. I can address that. Thank you so much, Council Member. During the process, for the budget process for 2025, we will continue to have those conversations to incorporate that as a part of their base salary. So those conversations will be had, and we appreciate the comment.
Thank you, Deputy CFO Carr.
Councilor Juan?
So yeah, I actually hit on what I was going to ask. Is it separate on their paycheck right now that it shows up as a separate $4.12?
Good afternoon. Let me verify that information on how we have it on the check stub, and I'll be able to provide an update shortly.
Thank you. And then I guess my question is, why would we need to wait to FY25? I think that's probably an action we should consider taking now, if that's the intent. So I would just put that out there as something that Finance Committee can, hopefully under new leadership, can take a look at.
Councilor Bakhtiari.
Thank you, Council President. Want to also reiterate what was touched upon by my colleagues, both Councilmember Lewis and Councilmember Juan. The other piece I wanted to ask is if there has been, last week spoke, my understanding was that there was going to be meetings between HR and unions, and from my understanding from the reps I have spoken to today is that still has not happened. And so I'm troubled by that, because these are the representatives that help advocate on behalf of our city employees. If they're not being consulted after that has been promised, like, where are we standing with this issue before we move forward on it? Can anyone speak to that? Has anyone?
Good afternoon, Council Members. So just to provide a quick update, the information was shared with the members right before the Christmas break with all of the unions.
Thank you, Ms. Carr. And do we know, though, if from my understanding, and this is not directly on finance, but from my understanding, there was going to be members with the administration that were supposed to meet in person, if not virtually, but not just sharing documents, but actually sitting down with an in-depth conversation with our partners. And I don't believe that has happened, and I would strongly urge that occur before any decision is made on this, because that was what we were led to believe was going to happen before we move forward on these items. Okay, so I suppose I'll wait for a response on that, and we'll bring it back up during the committee reports to give an opportunity to prepare for that. But I will be bringing it back up during committee reports.
Thank you. Councilmember Lewis?
And I think to stand with Councilmember Bakhtiari, when you think about it, we got a new labor commissioner of labor department. And this is a question, because I remember when we said the meetings would be set up, they would be set up with the new commissioner. Has that person been able to meet with the unions? Because I think a lot of this debate we're having right now over salaries is because the meetings have not happened. I know the last meeting that we had in here of full body, we thought that we handled it, and we thought that you all would be meeting with them. And so my question is, did the new labor commissioner, has that person met with the unions that we voted for to make sure he?
I don't know, but according to the agenda, it looks like that appointment is going to be before CDHS and COC next week, so you may be able to ask him.
Perfect.
Next week.
Thank you.
All right. With that, we will move forward with the report of the Journal. Madam Clerk.
Good afternoon. I, Vanessa Walden, Municipal Clerk of the City of Atlanta, hereby certify that the action minutes of the December 4th regular meeting of the Atlanta City Council are true and correct.
There are no changes or amendments to the minutes. I would entertain a motion to adopt. Moved by Councilmember Lewis, seconded by Councilmember Bond. Is there any discussion on the motion to adopt the minutes? We can do this without objection via unanimous consent. Any objection to the motion to adopt? Madam Clerk, please sound the count on unanimous consent.
Unanimous consent is 15 yeas, 0 nays.
15 yeas, 0 nays, the motion carries. Next up is communications. Madam Clerk.
Communication 124C 5000, a communication from Daniel Hampton, Chair of the Audit Committee, submitting the performance audit report regarding municipal court. Staff recommendation is to refer to the Public Safety and Legal Administration Committee.
Let the item follow that course.
Number 2, 24C 5001, a communication from Daniel Hampton, Chair of the Audit Committee, submitting the performance audit report regarding water billing and collections. Staff recommendation is to refer to City Utilities Committee.
Let the item follow that course.
Number 3, 24C 5002, a communication from Daniel Hampton, Chair of the Audit Committee, submitting the performance audit report regarding moving Atlanta forward. Staff recommendation to refer to CDHS Committee and Finance Exec Committee.
Let the item follow that course.
24C 5003, a communication from Councilmember Jason Dozier, District 4, reappointing Ms. Loretta Craig to serve as a member of the Atlanta Commission on Women. The appointment is for the term of 2 years to begin retroactively on March 4th, 2023 and expire on March 3rd, 2025. Staff recommendation is to refer to Committee on Council.
Let the item follow that course.
24C 5004, a communication from Mayor Andre Dickens appointing Mr. John Flanagan to serve as Commissioner of the Department of Labor and Employment Service for the City of Atlanta. Staff recommendation is to refer to the Community Development, Human Services Committee and the Committee on Council.
Let the item follow that course.
24C 5005, a communication from the Chief Procurement Officer submitting the November 1st, 2023 through November 30th, 2023 monthly contracts report to the Atlanta City Council and the Clerk of Council pursuant to Section 2-1142 of the Atlanta City Code of Ordinances. Staff recommendation is to accept and file.
Let the item follow that course.
24C 5006, a communication from Interim Municipal Clerk Vanessa Walden submitting a report of the administrative corrections made to previously adopted legislation between the regular meeting of council dates December 4th and January 8th to the Atlanta City Council in accordance with Section 2-275 of the Atlanta City Code of Ordinances. Staff recommendation is to accept and file.
Let the item follow that course.
24C 5007, a communication from Municipal Clerk Vanessa Walden submitting the runoff municipal election results held on December 5th, 2023 of official and complete statement of results for the Board of Education member at large, seat 7, from the Fulton and DeKalb County Board of Registration and Elections. Staff recommendation is to accept and file.
Let the item follow its course.
That concludes communications.
Is there any consideration of vetoed legislation?
No, sir.
I believe there's one piece of unfinished business.
Yes. 23R 4551, a resolution by Councilmember Mary Norwood authorizing the mayor or his designee to execute an agreement for an intersection improvements project on Moores Mill Road at 2 locations with BRTU Construction Incorporated on behalf of the Atlanta Department of Transportation for a term of 1 year with 2 one-year renewal options in an amount not to exceed $4,294,491.74. All contract work will be paid from and to funds account listed and for other purposes. This item was tabled at the last meeting of council, December 4th.
So because it was held in the breast of council, it comes back before the council with no recommendation. I actually would entertain a motion to adopt. Councilmember Norwood.
I'd like to make the motion to adopt. We will then need to amend the paper because the iPro report that we were waiting for is here and needs to be added. So my first motion is to adopt coming off of the floor.
Motion to adopt 23-R-4551 by Councilmember Norwood. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember Overstreet. Is there any discussion of the motion to adopt? Councilmember Norwood. Would you like to make the motion to amend?
Don't we have to adopt it first?
No.
Okay. Then I make the motion to amend to include the iPro report.
There's a motion by Councilmember Norwood, seconded by Councilmember Overstreet to amend 23-R-4551 to include the iPro report. Is there any discussion on the motion to amend? Hearing none, we can move to a vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to amend this item.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 14 yeas, 0 nays.
14 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to amend carries.
And now I'd like to make a motion to adopt as amended.
There's a motion to adopt as amended by Councilmember Norwood, seconded by Councilmember Overstreet. Is there any discussion on the motion to adopt as amended? Hearing none, we move to a vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to adopt as amended.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? The vote is closed. 14 yeas, 0 nays.
14 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to adopt as amended carries.
Thank you.
Next, we will move to the consent agenda, section 1. These are items beginning on page 5 of your materials. They are all items for second reading. The appropriate motion will be to adopt. But first, let me ask if there are any items to be removed from the consent agenda. Councilmember Juan.
Thank you. Colleagues, on page 5, item number 3 is 23-0-1691. Again, page 5, item 3, 23-0-1691. I'd like to remove that and address it during the regular committee report.
Any other items to be removed from the consent agenda, section 1? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adopt. Moved by Councilmember Juan. Do I have a second? Seconded by Councilmember Hillis. Is there any discussion on the motion to adopt the consent agenda, section 1, with the one item removed? Hearing none, we move to vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to adopt.
Will everyone please vote? The vote is closed. 13 yeas, 0 nays.
13 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to adopt with the one item removed carries. Next, we'll move to the consent agenda, section 2. These are items that begin on page 25 of the materials. These are all items for first read. Therefore, the appropriate motion will be to refer. But first, let me ask, are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda, section 2? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to refer this section. Moved by Councilmember Norwood. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember Hillis. Any discussion on the motion to refer the consent agenda, section 2? Hearing none, we'll move to vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to refer.
One moment, please. The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? The vote is closed. 13 yeas, 0 nays.
Mr. Shook, how would you like your vote recorded? Please reflect Mr. Shook as an aye.
Duly noted. 14 yeas, 0 nays.
14 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to refer carries. Now we'll move to the report of standing committees. First up today will be Finance Exec. Again, just as a reminder, these will be the last reports because the committees were met at the end of the year by last year's chairs, and then next meeting you'll see next year's chairs. So first up, okay. Before we do that, we need to update a vote on the consent agenda, section 1.
The vote on consent agenda section 1 is 14 yeas, 0 nays.
14 yeas, 0 nays. The motion still carries. So first up today will be Councilmember Juan, Finance Exec Committee.
Thank you, Council President. Colleagues, I'm going to take the item that I pulled off consent agenda first. That was 23-0-1691. This was a paper originally for council carry forward. There is a substitute that changes the caption and adds other council members. So I'm going to read in the new caption and make the motion to bring it forward. It's 23-1691, an ordinance by Councilmember Mary Norwood is substituted by the Atlanta City Council, authorizing the transfer of $25,000.00 from the District 8 carry forward account to the District 8 salaries, perm part-time account, authorizing the transfer of $50,000.00 from the District 12 carry forward account to the District 12 distribution account, authorizing the transfer of $60,000.00 from the District 2 carry forward account to the District 2 distribution account, authorizing the transfer of $5,000.00 from the District 7 carry forward account to the District 7 distribution account, authorizing the transfer of $10,000.00 from the District 10 carry forward account to the District 10 distribution account, authorizing the transfer of $30,000.00 from the District 11 carry forward account to the District 11 distribution account, authorizing the transfer of $70,000.00 from the Council District 3 at-large carry forward account to the Council District 3 at-large distribution account, and for other purposes. I'll move to bring the substitute forward.
There's a motion by Councilmember Juan, seconded by Councilmember Shook. Is there any discussion on the motion to adopt as substituted? Hearing none, we'll move to vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 13 yeas, 0 nays.
13 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to adopt as substituted carries.
All right, the next item is on page 28 under the report of standing committees. It's 23-0-1656, an ordinance by Councilmember Alex Juan as substituted by Finance Executive Committee and as substituted by the Atlanta City Council and as substituted by the Finance Executive Committee to amend the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances, Part 2, General Ordinances, Chapter 114, Personnel, Article 4, Civil Service, Division 14, Attendance and Leave, Section 114-415, Annual Leave Vacation, so as to provide for increases in the maximum vacation allowed to be carried over retroactively effective December 31, 2023, and to provide for the annual payout of 25% of excess vacation hours for each year effective January 1, 2024, to authorize the payment of any remaining vacation extra carryover leave as defined in Ordinance 23-0-1305 on a quarterly basis throughout fiscal year 2025 and for other purposes. Colleagues, this came out of committee favorable on substitute on condition. There were a couple of conditions. The first one was a listing and an aggregation of the total amounts by department and by position, which we have received. The other condition is the one that we've been just discussing, and that has to do with the meetings, the requested meetings with the employee unions and representatives between December 16th and now. And there seems to be some discrepancy or question about whether that happened or not. I'd like to ask Ms. Carr what other additional information you may have. I understand that Finance may have reached out and there have been some communications, but it would be helpful for us in assessing whether that condition was met or not to have that information.
Good afternoon, Yolanda Carr, Deputy CFO. We did provide information and reach out to the unions. The CFO Ashley sent the information with the information for the vacation carryout for the various unions. We also stated in the email to feel free to reach back out if you have any questions as to the availability for meeting. So we did do that before the Christmas break.
Okay, but you did not get a response?
We did not get any information back or hear back from the unions regarding any meetings.
All right, thank you. I will say for this council member, that makes me uncomfortable. This is a big change and a big impact that it's going to have on employees, and I recognize that perhaps it was just the holiday schedule kind of complicates that a little bit, and I think there is still a lot of value in ensuring that conversation takes place, and hitting the pause button for another 2 weeks on that to give that an opportunity now that we're back in the building, back in the new year. So I'm going to make a substitute motion to, I want to hold it here, Mr. Parliamentarian. So I think I want to hold it in the rest of the council so that it is before us in 2 weeks. Okay.
There's a motion by Councilmember Juan, seconded by Councilmember Dozier to hold in the breast of council. That is not a debatable motion. It takes a majority to pass. Voting for will hold in the breast of council for 2 weeks. It'll come back before us just like the paper that we just dealt with. A nay vote would not hold in the breast of council. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to hold in the breast of council.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? The vote is closed. 14 yeas, 0 nays.
14 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to hold in the breast of council carries.
Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Next up will be Committee on Council. And Councilmember Bakhtiari is just making her way back on the floor here. Committee on Council, Chair Bakhtiari.
We'll begin with item number 1, communications 23-C-5127, a communication from Councilmember Byron D. Amos, District 3, reappointing Ms. Anissa Farrell to serve as a member of the Atlanta Commission on Women. This appointment is for a term of 2 years. This appointment was favorably recommended by COC this morning, so the motion is to confirm.
Motion coming out of committee to confirm 23-C-5127. It doesn't need a second. Is there any discussion on this communication? We can do this via unanimous consent. It's a communication without objection. Any objection? Madam Clerk, please sound the count on unanimous consent on the motion to confirm this communication.
Unanimous consent would be 15 yeas, 0 nays.
15 yeas, 0 nays. The motion carries.
Thank you. Now on to ordinances first reading. Item number 2, 24-0-1000, an ordinance by Committee on Council to amend City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances, Section 66-2, precinct boundary lines and polling places by amending the 2017 Precincts and Polling Places Ordinance in Fulton County Precincts 02E, 03E, 03G, 03L, 03M, 03N, 04B, 04F, 04J, 04W, 08G, 08P, 09G, and 09H due to facility parking concerns, facility declining usage, precinct location merger, facility undergoing renovations, facility being placed under new management and usage not being confirmed, facility no longer being conducive, and for other purposes. I move to refer this item to the Committee on Council.
There's a motion to refer 24-0-1000 by Councilmember Bakhtiari, seconded by Councilmember Juan. Is there any discussion on the motion to refer? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to refer.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 14 yeas, 0 nays.
14 yeas, 0 nays, the motion to refer carries.
Thank you. Just one announcement before I go. Again, reminding my colleagues to please, if you could please take a look at your appointments for the Commission on Women. We have made really great strides with getting some reappointments, but we do have a commission that is ready to act and actually wants to get some events together by the beginning of February. If you could please take a look if you have not nominated someone yet or if you have a reappointment, please go ahead and, if you can, draft that legislation. We do have a committee that is with a few people that are eager to convene, so that would be of great assistance. And that concludes my report, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up will be the Zoning Committee. Chair Overstreet.
Okay, please turn your agendas to page 36 for the Zoning Committee report. We'll start with ordinances for second read. Mr. President. All right, number 1, legislative number 23-0-1633, case number MRPA-23-09, locations 2249, 2253, 2257, and 2261 Paul Avenue Northwest. The ordinance is to grant a certificate under the provisions of the Metropolitan River Protection Act to allow the construction of 4 single-family detached dwellings. Item number 1 was favorable, so the motion is to adopt.
Motion coming out of committee to adopt 23-0-1633. It doesn't need a second. Is there any discussion on the motion to adopt this item? Hearing none, we'll move to vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to adopt.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? The vote is closed. 14 yeas, 0 nays.
14 yeas, 0 nays, the motion to adopt carries.
Mr. President, I'd like to take the first reads as a block, items number 2 through 15.
Without objection, please proceed.
Thank you. Legislative number 23-0-1699. Number 2, case number Z-23-64, location 3170 Mount Gilead Road, Southwest. The ordinance is to rezone from R4 single-family residential to PDH, Planned Development Housing. Number 3, 23-0-1700, case number Z-23-66, location 2490 Fairburn Road, Southwest. The ordinance is to rezone from R4 single-family residential to MR4A multifamily residential. Number 4, 23-0-1701, case number Z-23-67, location 714 Moreland Avenue Southeast. The ordinance is to rezone from MRC1C, mixed residential commercial conditional, to MRC1C, mixed residential commercial conditional for a change of conditions. Number 5, 23-0-1702, case number Z-23-68. The location is 2715 Fairburn Road, Southwest. The ordinance is to rezone from R4 single-family residential to PDH, Planned Development Housing. And number 6, 23-0-1703, case number Z-23-70, location 1111 Ridge Avenue Southwest. The ordinance is to rezone from I1CBL light, which is light industrial conditional beltline overlay, to MRC3BL mixed residential commercial beltline overlay. Number 7, 23-0-1704, case number Z-23-71. Location 3340 Stone Road, Southwest. The ordinance is to rezone from R4, single-family residential, and RG3, residential general sector, to MR2, multifamily residential. Number 8, 23-0-1705, case number Z-23-73, location 750 North Evelyn Place, Northwest. The ordinance is to rezone from R4 single-family residential to R5 two-family residential. Legislative number 9, 23-0-1706, case number Z-23-74, location 780 Martin Luther King Drive, Junior Drive Southwest. The ordinance is to rezone from SPI4 SA4, Ashview Heights and Atlanta University Center, Special Public Interest District Sub Area 4 to SPI4 SA12, Ashview Heights and Atlanta University Center, Special Public Interest District Sub Area 12. Number 10, 23-0-1707, case number Z-23-75, location 0 Bricknell Street, Southwest, rear, 2174, 2194, 2216, 2228, and 2250 Bricknell Street, Southwest. The ordinance is to rezone from R4 Single Family Residential to PDH Planned Development Housing. Number 11, 23-0-1708, case number Z-23-82, location 470 Chandler Park Drives Northeast. The ordinance is to reassign this property to the overlay zoning designation of landmark building site, LBS. Number 12, 23-0-1709, case number Z-23-83, location Midtown Special Public Interest District. The ordinance is to amend Chapter 18P, SP 16 Midtown Special Public Interest District of Atlanta Zoning Ordinance for a text amendment. Number 13, 23-0-1710, case number Z-23-84, location Martin Luther King Jr. Landmark District. The ordinance is to amend Part 3, Land Development Code, Part 16, the zoning, Chapter 20C, Section 16-20C.004, number 3, and Section 16-20C.007, 1A, to amend the sidewalk requirements. Number 14, 23-0-1713, case number U-23-33, location 408 Woodward Avenue Southeast. The ordinance is for a special use permit for a place of worship. And number 15, 23-0-1714, case number U-23-34, location 530 Clifton Street Southeast. The ordinance is for a special use permit for a private club. I move to refer items 2 through 15 to ZRB and Zoning Committee.
There's a motion by Councilmember Overstreet to refer these items to ZRB and Zoning. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember Wan. Is there any discussion on the motion to refer these items? Hearing none, we'll move to vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to refer.
Vote is open. Will everyone please vote? The vote is closed. 15 yeas, 0 nays.
15 yeas, 0 nays, the motion to refer carries.
And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up will be Public Safety and Legal Administration. Chair Hillis.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have 3 items. First item is 23-0-1681, an ordinance by Councilmember Antonio Lewis, Andre L. Boone, and Michael Julian Bond as amended by Public Safety and Legal Administration Committee to create a new section 106-13 of Chapter 106. Article 1 of the Atlanta Code of Ordinances to prohibit the wearing of ski masks, barrier face coverings, hoods, or any device which conceals the identity of the wearer and for other purposes. The motion out of the committee is to file.
The motion coming out of committee to file 23-0-1681. It does not need a second. Is there any discussion on the motion to file this item? Hearing none, we'll move to vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to file.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? The vote is closed. 14 yeas, 0 nays.
14 yeas, 0 nays, the motion to file carries. Oh, hold on. Councilmember Waits, how do you want your vote reflected? So Councilmember Waits is an aye.
The vote is 15 yeas, 0 nays.
15 yeas, 0 nays, the motion to file carries.
Next item, 23-0-1685, an ordinance by Councilmember Liliana Bakhtiari to amend Chapter 10, Article 2, Section 10-94A of the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances so as to provide an exemption from the distance requirements listed in Section 10-88 of the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances for one convention center selling alcoholic beverages for consumption on the premises located at 1206 Metropolitan Avenue Southeast, Atlanta, Georgia, and for other purposes. The motion out of the committee is favorable.
Motion coming out of committee to adopt 23-0-1685. It doesn't need a second. Is there any discussion on the motion to adopt this item? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to adopt. Oh, Councilmember Waits, before we vote.
Forgive me for being out of order. I have a question. Is it possible to substitute another bill on this?
You can make a motion to bring forth a substitute.
Yes.
That is in order.
So this is an ordinance, to my understanding. I am trying to put forward legislation to allow the extension of drinking hours for next Monday, MLK Day. Would that be an appropriate substitute for this particular legislation? And would the author be okay with something like this? Respectfully.
The question for law.
And I want to be clear, Mr. There's a challenge in terms of time. We won't have the opportunity, so I want to be respectful to the author and bring it over. Please.
I'm going to ask law if there's any issue that they have with that sort of addition to this piece of legislation.
Good afternoon, Amber A. Robinson, City of Atlanta Department of Law. Ordinances or waivers of ordinances require 2 reads of council. Because of that, any substitute to an existing ordinance cannot deviate in subject from the subject of the ordinance that is desired to be substituted. So here, this is a distance requirement waiver. To add on a waiver of the hours of operation to extend them for a holiday would be too deviant from the subject of the original legislation so as to provide the adequate notice in 2 reads. So it is be our opinion that that would not be an appropriate substitute.
Okay. Okay. So we are back to, is there any other discussion on the motion to adopt 23-0-1685? Councilmember Bakhtiari.
Just for quick clarity for my colleagues, because I know there was some confusion in PSLA, I'm completely supportive of this. The neighborhood voted in favor of this. It was properly vetted, so I ask that you vote in support. Thank you.
Any other discussion of the motion to adopt this item? Hearing none, now we'll move to a vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to adopt.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 14 yeas, 1 nay.
14 yeas, 1 nay. The motion to adopt carries.
Last item, 23-0-1689, an ordinance by Councilmember Dustin Hillis, as substituted by Public Safety and Legal Administration Committee to amend Chapter 10, Article 2, Section 10-94A of the City of Atlanta Code and Ordinances so as to provide an exemption from the distance requirements listed in Section 10-88 of the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances for one convention center selling alcoholic beverages for consumption on the premises located at 1705 Commerce Drive, Atlanta, Georgia, and for other purposes. This was forwarded on substitute with no recommendation on condition, and that condition has not been met, so I will make a motion to refer back to PSLA.
There's a motion to refer by Councilmember Hillis, 23-0-1689 to PSLA. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember Bakhtiari. Is there any discussion on the motion to refer this item? Hearing none, move to vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to refer.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 15 yeas, 0 nays.
15 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to refer carries.
Close my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we move to standing committee report of CDHS, I'm going to call on Councilmember Juan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I apologize for the interruption here on our regularly scheduled program, but there seems to be continued angst and uncertainty around the $4.12. I think there is just because it was budgeted doesn't necessarily mean operationally it will be implemented. So I wanted to take the opportunity before Mr. Donald leaves the building in the next 10 minutes to have them come and affirm that operationally the folks will not lose it. And that would also require going into the committee of the whole. So procedurally, I don't know what I need to do to interrupt the meeting if there's appetite, and then enter committee of the whole. I'll make that motion to enter committee of the whole so that we can get that clarification. So I'll go ahead and make the motion now. Do we need to amend the agenda? All right, so I'm going to make a motion to amend the agenda.
There's a motion by Councilmember Wand to amend the agenda and move into committee of the whole. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember Bakhtiari. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to amend the agenda to move into committee of the whole.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? The vote is closed. 15 yeas, 0 nays.
15 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries. We now stand in committee of the whole. We now stand in committee of the whole.
So I think we got to give them a little bit of time to get over here. But again, the intent of this is to just assure employees that the 412 is not operationally going to be lost. While I have this opportunity, Ms. Carr, also there was an open question about how the amount, the $4 into the premium pay shows up on a paycheck. So while we're waiting, if we can go ahead and get that answer out for everyone, that'd be great.
Yes. Good afternoon, Yolanda Carr, Deputy CFO. So I did the research, and there's a separate line on the paycheck stub for employees for premium pay. So just wanted to follow back up.
And it shows up as ARP premium pay, right?
That is correct. That's the name of the element that shows up on the paycheck stub.
Okay, so I can understand why there's concern about since the ARPA money has expired. I'll yield to my colleague as we're waiting for Mr. Donald.
Councilmember Lewis.
And as they're coming, I would like the administration to also talk about the 412 being salaried and removed off the extra line for pension benefits, for retirement benefits. We do know that folks work for less to work for the city so that they can retire with dignity. And so I want to make sure that the retirement is actually affected by this. So when the administration actually does talk to it, can we talk about the 412 being added completely to the salary for retirement benefits?
Thank you. We've been joined by Chief of Staff Odie Donald. Thank you for making your way over. We stand in committee of the whole, so you can address us. Councilmember Wand, does Mr. Donald have the context he needs, or would you like to tee it up?
I believe he does. Mr. Pace probably briefed him. So.
You don't have to stand up. We're fine to hear you.
Oh, okay. Well, listen, it might make it easier for me. I'm used to that. All right. All right. All right, Council. Wanted to make sure that I was pretty clear in relation to our 412 and our efforts from the mayor. So the mayor has made the commitment both at the last budget hearing as well as at the upcoming budget hearing that the 412 that has been provided through ARPA leading up now would not expire for our employees. It is the full intent of the mayor and the administration that these funds be incorporated into future budgets, our staff not miss out on them, and then beyond that, that those funds also be pensionable. So that's our intent. When we come before you in March and present our proposed budget, you will see that at that time. The mayor has not wavered at any time whatsoever during that time, and so on his behalf, I'm here for you today to say that that remains our intent, and we fully support our employees in that way. Not sure how that has been misinterpreted, but we stand lock steady with you to ensure that that remains and it will not change. All right?
Let me Just ask if my colleagues have any questions. Councilmember Bakhtiari, if you're open to it.
Yep.
Chief of Staff Donald.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Donald. That's fantastic to hear. I wanted to ask something on behalf of some information I received from some of the unions that apparently there were some employees that have positions that were cut from receiving the 412 and are curious to know if those positions will be given back, like if they will begin receiving the 412 again under this.
So I'll need to get some information on that because in this year we extended it. So I think you remember in the previous budget, those funds were supposed to potentially expire or the commitment of a previous administration expired on the 30th. We included everyone who had received it before into this year's budget. And we even extended beyond that when there were certain people that were brought to us who said that they had not received the 412 ever, but they were in a equal capacity as some of the other employees who had received it. So we expanded it a little bit in the FY24 budget. If you bring that forward, then of course we would consider that for FY25, but there are more people receiving it now than they had before.
Okay. And I will follow up with them to get additional information.
Yeah,
to send
please,
over.
if you get us that information, we try to correct any problem that has come before our employees, and we'll continue to do that.
Understood. Thank you.
All right.
Any other questions from council members? Thank you, Mr. Donald, for making your way over. We very much appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
It's Councilmember Wan's move to move back into regular session, seconded by Councilmember Shook. Is there any discussion on the motion to move out of committee of the whole? Hearing none, we'll do this via unanimous consent without objection. Any objection to the motion to move out of committee of the whole? Madam Clerk, please sound the count on unanimous consent.
Unanimous consent is 15 yeas, 0 nays.
15 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to move out of committee of the whole carries. Next up on standing committees will be City Utilities Committee. Chair Winston.
Thank you, Council President. We have no report.
Thank you. Next up then will be CDHS, Vice Chair Westmoreland.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have one item, colleagues, on page 49. It's a communication 23C5120 from the Community Development and Human Services Committee on the creation of the Little Five Points City Business Improvement District as authorized by OCGA 3643-1 and based on the written consent of the majority of municipal taxpayers within the district as authorized by Resolution 23R4346 adopted by the Atlanta City Council on November 6, 2023. The necessary public hearing was held by CDHS on December 12th, and so the motion from the committee is to accept and file this communication.
There's a motion coming out of committee to accept and file 23-C-5120. It doesn't need a second. Is there any discussion on the motion to accept and file this communication? Given this is a communication, we do this via unanimous consent without objection. Any objection to the motion to accept and file? Madam Clerk, please sound the count on unanimous consent on the motion.
Unanimous consent is 15 yeas, 0 nays.
15 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to accept and file carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up today will be Transportation. Chair Faroki.
Thank you, President Shipman. We had 3 items, and one of them was handled earlier. That was the paper that came out of the Bresta Council in earlier discussions. We have 2 items. 23R 4342 came out of committee favorable on substitute on condition. The condition was for the administration and Department of Finance to provide a substitute incorporating the account information. This condition has been satisfied, so I will move to bring forth the substitute.
There's a motion to bring forth the substitute on 23-R-4342 by Councilmember Faroki, seconded by Councilmember Wan. Is there any discussion on the motion to bring forth the substitute? Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to bring forth the substitute.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? The vote is closed. 15 yeas, 0 nays.
15 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to bring forth the substitute carries.
I'll move to adopt as substituted.
There's a motion to adopt 23-R-4342 as substituted by Councilmember Faroki. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember Westmoreland. Is there any discussion on the motion to adopt as substituted? Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to adopt.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? The vote is closed. 14 yeas, 0 nays.
14 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to adopt as substitute carries.
All right, 23R 4652, a resolution by Councilmember Howard Shook authorizing the City of Atlanta to authorize a donation of money to provide local matching funds to the City of Sandy Springs for the Path 400 Trail in an amount not to exceed $133,000.33, authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into any necessary agreements to effectuate the donation, and authorizing the chief financial officer or his designee to make all payments from the accounts listed herein and for other purposes. The sponsor has requested this item be filed. I'll move to do so.
There's a motion by Councilmember Faroki to file 23-R-4652. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember Shook. Is there any discussion on the motion to file this item? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to file.
The vote is open. Would everyone please vote? The vote is closed. 13 yeas, 0 nays.
13 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to file carries.
That concludes our report.
Thank you. That concludes the reports of the standing committees. We'll now move to personal papers. I believe we have one for immediate consideration. Councilmember Bond.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a resolution by Councilmember Michael Julian Bond, a resolution amending 23-R-4638, adopted by the Atlanta City Council on December the 4th, 2023, establishing the Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport Atrium Policy Task Force to review all procedures, policies, and laws, and to provide recommendations to improve operations and enhance the safety of the airport's atrium and the adjacent terminals for the purpose of modifying the composition to add a representative from the Metropolitan Atlanta Rapid Transit Authority and for other purposes. Whereas a resolution 23-R-4638 adopted December the 4th, 2023, established the Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport Policy Task Force, whereas the task force was established for the purpose of reviewing all procedures, policies, and laws to provide recommendations to improve operations and enhance the safety of the airport's atrium and adjacent terminals, whereas the task force intends to examine how the airport general manager can effectively work with airport vendors, the Atlanta Police Department, the Law Department, to create a safer environment for travelers, employees, and vendors to improve the current operations of the operations of the atrium and the adjacent terminals, whereas the Atlanta City Council desires to amend the composition of the Policy Task Force to include representatives from the Metropolitan Atlanta Rapid Transit Authority. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Atlanta, Georgia, that Resolution 23-R-4638, adopted by the Atlanta City Council on December the 4th, 2023, establishing the Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport Policy Task Force, is hereby amended to include a representative from the Metropolitan Atlanta Rapid Transit Authority, erstwhile known as MARTA. Be it finally resolved that all parts of resolutions 23-R-4638 will remain unchanged. I'd like to move approval.
There's a motion by Councilmember Bond to adopt ELMS ID 34478. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember Shook. Is there any discussion on the motion to adopt this item? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to adopt.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? Will every member please vote, please?
The suspense is killing
I
me.
know, it's amazing.
The vote is closed. 10 yeas, 0 nays.
10 yeas, 0 nays, the motion to adopt carries. I don't believe there are any other items for immediate consideration, so we'll now move to papers for referral. Councilmember Bond, if you'd like to continue.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have Elms ID number 34481, an ordinance by Councilmember Michael Julian Bond authorizing a donation in the amount not to exceed $1,000.00 to the Morehouse College from the Post-1 at Large Carry Forward account pursuant to Section 6-306 of the City of Atlanta Charter to support the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Chapel renovation project and for other purposes.
Elms ID 34481 will be referred to the Finance Exec Committee.
I have Elms ID number 34480, an ordinance by Councilmember Michael Julian Bond authorizing the donation amount not to exceed blank dollars and 0 cents to the Atlanta Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority from the Post-1 at Large Carry Forward account pursuant to Section 6-306 of the City of Atlanta's Charter to support the centennial celebration of service of the organization and for other purposes.
Elms ID 34480 will be referred to the Finance Exec Committee.
I have Elms number 34478, a resolution by Councilmember Michael Julian Bond, a resolution amending, oh no, that's the one I already have. I've got a paper traveling down that's being signed. Okay. Thank you. I have Elms number 34474, a resolution signed by Council Members Waits, Council Member Westmoreland, Lewis, Boone, Overstreet, Hillis, and I think Norwood. Is this you, Mr. Shook? Yes. And did you sign it? And of course, Mr. Wand, and invite other signatures, Mr. Winston, to request the establishment of the commission to determine an appropriate honor for the sesquicentennial anniversary of the 1st Regiment of U.S. Colored Troops formed in Atlanta by Bishop Henry McNeil Turner and for other purposes.
Elms ID 34474 will be referred to the CDHS Committee.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Papers. Thank you.
Councilmember Hillis.
I have one item, Elms ID 34484, a resolution by Councilmember Dustin Hillis requesting the mayor his designee to install traffic calming devices on Hall Street Northwest between Ada Avenue Northwest and Donnelly Hollowell Parkway Northwest in order to reduce speeding and for other purposes.
Elms ID 34484 will be referred to the Transportation Committee.
Thank you. That's all.
Thank you. Councilmember Winston.
Thank you, Council President. First item is Elms 34486. An ordinance by Councilmember Jason Winston to waive the limitation of the frequency of applications affecting the same property pursuant to Section 16-27-002 of the City of Atlanta zoning ordinance for properties located at 1051 Moreland Drive Southeast and 1721 Woodland Avenue Southeast and for other purposes.
Elms ID 34486 will be jointly referred to the Zoning and ZRB committees.
Elms ID 34483, an ordinance by Councilmember Jason H. Winston to waive section listed of the land subdivision ordinance of the City of Atlanta for the purposes of facilitating an acknowledgement of 673 Hamilton Avenue Southeast as two separate lots substantially consistent with the historic configuration and prevailing plat pattern and for other purposes.
Elms ID 34483 will be jointly referred to the Zoning and ZRB committees.
Elms ID 34467, a resolution by Councilmember Jason H. Winston authorizing the City of Atlanta to donate a total amount not to exceed $700,000.00 to 24/7 Gateway LLC pursuant to Section 6-306 of the City of Atlanta's Charter to support coordinated sheltering and supportive services for individuals experiencing chronic homelessness in the City of Atlanta, authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into a donation agreement which shall detail the actions of 24/7 Gateway LLC to support coordinated shelter and supportive services for individuals experiencing chronic homelessness in the City of Atlanta, to authorize the chief financial officer or his designee to make the donation authorized hereby from the accounts listed herein and for other purposes.
Elms ID 34467 will be referred to the CDHS committee.
Elms ID 34479, a resolution by Councilmember Jason H. Winston, a resolution requesting the mayor or his designee to make the intersections of Meador Avenue Southeast and Harper Road Southeast, Meador Avenue Southeast and Shell Road Southeast, Meador Avenue Southeast and Meador Avenue Way Southeast, and Meador Avenue Southeast and Sterling Street Southeast in the Lakewood Heights neighborhood, all-way stop control intersections, to request the Atlanta Department of Transportation to install stop signs at the intersection, to request Atlanta Department of Transportation to install traffic calming devices on Meador Avenue Southeast from Sterling Street Southeast to Swan Drive Southeast and for other purposes.
Elms ID 34479 will be referred to the Transportation Committee.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Norwood.
A resolution by Councilmember Mary Norwood authorizing the mayor or his designee to execute a project management agreement with Buckhead Community Improvement District, BCID, for the Mount Perrin Road Resurfacing and Safety Improvements Project, to execute any required agreements for project participation and implementation on behalf of the Atlanta Department of Transportation in an amount not to exceed $3,500,000.00. All contracted work to be charged to and paid from the fund, department, organization, and account numbers listed herein and for other purposes.
Elms ID 32411 will be referred to the Transportation Committee.
Thank you.
Councilmember Overstreet.
I have one paper, ELMS ID number 34468, a resolution by Councilmember Marcy Collier Overstreet authorizing the mayor or his designee to execute renewal number 1 of sole source agreement SS-S-1220283 Pioneer Technology Benchmark Maintenance and Support with Pioneer Technology Group, LLC, on behalf of the Municipal Court of Atlanta for the term of 1 year, effective January 25th, 2024 through January 24th, 2025, in an amount not to exceed $293,500, $50.00. All funds should be charged to and paid from the funding accounts listed herein and for other purposes.
Elms ID 34468 will be referred to the Finance Exec Committee. Councilmember Waits. Okay. Councilmember Boone.
Thank you, Mr. President. ELMS ID number 34469, 34469, an ordinance by Councilmember Andrea L. Boone to amend the city's 2015 to 2019 consolidated plan and the 2024 consolidated plan, the 2018 Community Development Low Income Fund, Low Income 2019 Community Development Grant Fund budget, and the 2021 Community Development Grant Fund budget by adding to anticipations and appropriations for the purpose of reprogramming Community Development Block Grant Program funding in an amount not to exceed $5,570,061.05, authorizing the mayor or his designee on behalf of the Department of Grants and Community Development to enter into a service agreement with Mercy Care Decatur for the purpose of providing comprehensive health care to low-income patients. All contracted work shall be charged to and paid from the accounts listed herein and for other purposes.
Items ID 34469 will be referred to the CDHS committee.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilmember Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today, I want to talk about ELMS ID number 34450. I call this the Standing Up the Atlanta Citizen Review Board legislation. An ordinance by Councilmember Antonio Lewis, an ordinance to amend the charter of the City of Atlanta, Georgia, 1996, Georgia laws P 4469 ET SEQ, adopted under and by virtue of the authority of the Municipal Home Rule Act of 1965, OCGA, Section 36351, ET SEQ, as amended by amending Part 1, Charter and related laws, Subpart A, Charter, Appendix 12, Citizens Review Board, Section 12, powers and duties of the board to further expand and clarify the oversight powers of the Atlanta Citizen Review Board and for other purposes.
Items ID 34450 will be referred to the Public Safety and Legal Administration Committee.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Bakhtiari.
Thank you. ELMS ID number 34482, an ordinance by Councilmember Liliana Bakhtiari codifying procedures governing the acceptance, review, and validation of petitions pursuant to populace-led referendum and for other purposes.
ELMS ID 34482 will be referred to the Committee on Council.
Thank you. That is all for me.
Councilor Amos.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. ID number 34470, a resolution by Councilmember Byron D. Amos, a resolution authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Atlanta and the City of Atlanta Housing Authority, the Georgia State Historic Preservation Office, and IQ Simpson Affordable Housing, ALP, for a term of 5 years for the purpose of mitigating adverse effects on historic properties as it relates to new construction of multi-story apartment building at 810 Joseph E. Boone Boulevard, Atlanta, Georgia, Atlanta, Fulton County, Georgia, and for other purposes.
ELMS ID 34470 will be referred to the CDHS Committee.
ELMS number 34477, a resolution by Councilmember Byron Amos, a resolution requesting the mayor or his designee to make the intersections of Fowler Street and 16th Street in the Atlantic Station neighborhood an all-way stop control intersection, to request the Atlanta Department of Transportation to install stop signs at the intersection and for other purposes.
ELMS ID 34477 will be referred to the Transportation Committee.
ELMS 34488, the ordinance by Councilmember Byron D. Amos waiving Article 10, Division 4 of the Procurement and Real Estate Code of the City of Atlanta, Code of Ordinance, Sole Source Selection and Contract Formation, to authorize the mayor or his designee to execute an agreement with Royalty Atlantic Advisors, LLC, on behalf of the City on behalf of the Atlanta City Council District 3 office for a period of 2 years, retroactively affecting January 1st, 2024, and ending December 31st, 2025, in an annual amount not to exceed $90,000.00 to ratify the services rendered in connection with the agreement from January 1st, 2024. All contracted services shall be charged to and paid from the account listed herein and for other purposes.
Elms ID 34488 will be referred to the Finance Exec Committee.
That's the last one, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilmember Waits.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Elms ID number 34485. This is an ordinance by Councilmember Keisha Waits to amend Chapter Article 2, Division 5, Section 10-209C and Section 10-209C, number 2, and Section 10-09D, number 2 of the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances to amend said sections to add language to temporarily extend the hours within which those establishments which are licensed to sell alcoholic beverages by the drink consumption on their premises on Sunday may sell beverages on certain holidays and for other purposes.
Elms ID 34485 will be referred to the Public Safety and Legal Administration Committee.
Thank you. Elms ID number 34489. This is an ordinance by Keisha Waits authorizing donations in a total amount not to exceed an unspecified amount from the Post 3 at large carry forward account pursuant to Section 6-306 of the City of Atlanta's Charter to support various nonprofit organizations and for other purposes.
Elms ID 34489 will be referred to the Finance Exec Committee. Thank you. Councilmember Dozier.
Thank you, Mr. President. The first item that I have is Elms ID number 34475, a resolution by Councilmember Jason Dozier requesting the mayor or his designee to install traffic calming devices on Windsor Street Southwest from Glen Street Southwest to Fulton Street Southwest and for other purposes.
Elms ID 34475 will be referred to the Transportation Committee.
All right, the next item is Elms ID 34471, a resolution by Councilmember Jason Dozier and the rest of this body, urging the Atlanta Department of Transportation to develop a one-stop utility construction assistance website and helpline for Atlanta residents and for other purposes. And I think we have a colleague that wants to make sure his signature is affixed.
Elms ID 34471 will be referred to the Transportation Committee.
All right, next item is Elms ID number 34472. This is a resolution by Council members Jason Dozier, Andrea L. Boone, Byron D. Amos, Dustin Hillis, Liliana Bakhtiari, Matt Westmoreland, Jason Winston. As I read these names, I realize this is also the entire body. Supporting the passage of Georgia House Bill 451, recognizing the imperative to provide essential mental health support and specialized insurance coverage to first responders facing occupational post-traumatic stress disorder, also known as PTSD, and for other purposes.
Elms ID 34472 will be referred to the Finance Exec Committee.
All right, next item is Elms number 34473, an ordinance by council members Jason Dozier, Mayor Faroki, Jason Winston, Byron D. Amos, Liliana Bakhtiari, Howard Shook, Mary Norwood, Dustin Hillis, Marcy Collier Overstreet, Michael Julian Bond, and Matt Westmoreland, prohibiting turns on red lights within downtown Atlanta, midtown Atlanta, and Castleberry Hill, and for other purposes.
Elms ID 34473 will be referred to the Transportation Committee. Councilmember Shook.
All right, this is Elms 34465, resolution by Shook, authorizing the CFO to refund customers for overpayments to water sewer accounts in the amount of $121,585.67, all funds being charged to and paid from the sources indicated.
Elms ID 34465 will be referred to Finance Exec Committee.
And this is ELMS 34466, resolution by Shook authorizing the Commissioner of the Department of Watershed Management to adjust water and sewer service charges on certain customer accounts in accordance with the Atlanta City Code section indicated here in the amount of $103,931.37, and as always for other purposes.
ELMS ID 34466 will be referred to the Finance Exec Committee. Councilmember Juan.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. ELMS ID 34464, resolution by Councilmember Alex Wan authorizing the contribution of a total amount not to exceed $100,000.00 to the South Fork Conservancy to support the installation of a fence at the nature trail abutting the Lindbergh Martin Manor neighborhood, and authorizing the Chief Financial Officer to make the payment from the account number listed herein and for other purposes.
ELMS ID 34464, is that right? We refer to the CDHS Committee.
Thank you, that's all.
I believe that's all for personal papers today. We did not take a moment of recognition for those who have passed, so I'd like to do that now before we move to general remarks. Councilmember Faroki.
Yep, on Saturday I looked out my window and saw my neighbors, Mr. and Mrs. Walton, jumping their car, and so I went out to help them and had a long conversation with Mr. Walton about politics, his kids, grandkids, my kids. And on Sunday I looked out my window and there was a fire truck outside their house and Mr. Walton had passed away. And I just want to acknowledge Mr. Al Walton, who is a longtime resident of Old Fourth Ward, a veteran, and just a good all-around person and neighbor. I want to give my condolences to the Walton family and to Miss Evelyn, his wife, for their friendship. But my heart and I hope yours will be with them through this difficult time. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Boone.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to offer condolences to the family of Michelle Marty Turpo, who we lost, the Fulton County Chairman of the Fulton County Development Authority, a graduate of Frederick Douglass High School, Morehouse College. His father and mother offered so much to the city of Atlanta. Mr. Aaron Turpo, who served in the administrations of Mayor Jackson and Mayor Young. There was a very spirit-filled celebration at the Morehouse Chapel. All 5 mayors did attend the service, and nearly 1,500 attendees on last week. So we would like to offer condolences to the Marty Turpo family. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Amos.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. First and foremost, I'd like to offer condolences to the APD officer that we lost last week, Officer Kenya Galloway. I do believe he has a son that actually plays ball at Georgia Tech, so definitely want us as a city to wrap our arms and our prayers around the Galloway family as we remember that officer. And then also over the holiday, we lost Mrs. Kiona Jones Green. A lot of you who do community work would know Kiona, not from the political offices that she has ran for, but just from the fact if you ever talk to her, you know you left that conversation more educated and more compelled to help Dixie Hill and the Anderson Park community than you ever will. So just also want to keep, like I say, her husband and family in our minds and hearts as well, Miss Kiona Jones Green. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Dozier.
Thank you, President Shipman. I wanted to uplift a young man that died in the Mechanicsville community last Tuesday, Montravius Pitts. We knew him in the community as Trey. He was very active in the community. If y'all have ever been to Bearings Bike Shops or Bearings Bike Works in the Adair Park, you might have seen him down there working on bikes. He lost his life in an unfortunate drive-by shooting that took place last Tuesday. My wife used to tutor him at Dunbar Elementary School, and both the Dunbar Elementary School faculty and staff, as well as the broader Mechanicsville community, is reeling from the loss of this young man. So I just want y'all to keep him in your thoughts and prayers. Keep his mother, Kira Pitts, in your thoughts and prayers, and also keep his grandmother, Deidre, in your thoughts and prayers.
Thank you. Councilmember Juan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to lift up the name of Dr. Jesse Peel. He was a just stalwart pillar in the LGBTQ community. He's a North Carolina native, but he made his home in Atlanta. And during a time when he was diagnosed with HIV in a period where most of his friends and acquaintances were losing their lives. In fact, when he left his memoirs to Emory University, some of his journals, every day was just whose funeral he went to. But with that, he dedicated his life to kind of serving the HIV community, both in terms of education, treatment, as well as just lifting the stigma associated with the disease. He was a founding board member of Aid Atlanta, Positive Impact, just to name a few. But most importantly, he was famous for his pool parties, which I know sounds unimportant. Yeah. Sounds unimportant, but for a community that really desperately needed just some form or place to feel like they belonged, that was probably one of his biggest services and contributions to our committee. So he'll be missed, well respected, and we lift his family and friends and community up.
Thank you. Councilor Bakhtiari.
Thank you. A couple of people to talk about. I mean, of course, Dr. Jesse Peel, who I was as a baby gay coming up in the city, got to serve on a board with him, supporting homeless, queer, and trans youth in this city. And Dr. Peel, as Councilmember Juan said, was a great mentor to a great many people in the city and was just an absolute pillar in this community. And serving with him was one of the most educational experiences I have ever had and probably ever will have. And so, of course, his family, the impact of his loss will be felt for, the ripple effects will be felt for many months and years to come. Again, just lifting up the passing of Marty Turpo, I know that also, I mean, another person that had a great impact, another person who grew up with members of this council, who members of this council were close with, their family members were close with. And so continuing to keep the Turpo family in our thoughts and prayers. Want to also talk about Sonia Ricks Mason, who was a member of Big Bethel AME Church, and she passed on January 3rd. And I know that the church community that lost her is reeling from that loss, and her celebration of life service will be this Wednesday, or I'm sorry, next Wednesday, January 17th at 11 a.m. at Big Bethel on Auburn Avenue for anyone who would like to attend. And I also just want to again say the number of people we've lost to cancer already this year is absolutely devastating. So again, please just continue to keep those affected in your thoughts and prayers. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. Councilmember Bond.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, first, our police chief, Chief Shearbaum, lost his father, Robert Shearbaum, over the holiday break, and we want to recognize that loss. Also, Mr. Bobby Olive, who was a longtime administrator at Atlanta Metropolitan College, father of NFL great Bobby Olive, former Astro classmate of myself and Councilmember Boone. He had a long and distinguished academic career and aided many young people for, getting them on the right path and getting their lives together. And of course, Webster Pope, gentleman, the long stalwart in the civil rights community and in Southwest Atlanta, passed a week ago. He'll be funeralized on Wednesday. He is the brother of Rosalind Pope, who wrote the Appeal for Human Rights with the Atlanta student movement. And he's just a tremendous man and had a great impact on the Atlanta community. And just to close, I just wanted to say a word about my friend and colleague Marty Turpo. I literally got to watch Marty grow up here in Atlanta. He and my younger brother were the best of friends, are the best of friends. And Marty had a tremendous impact in his professional life, his civic contributions, but he was just really a dynamic person. all the way around. Very energetic, very intelligent, and helped to breathe new life into the Fulton Redevelopment Authority. But whether it was his businesses or really anything that he undertook, he brought a extremely sharp and nimble mind, a twinkle in his eye, and a heart of gold with him when he lived every day. And so just wanted to add my condolences to these individuals. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Lewis.
And similar to my colleagues, I want to send my condolences to Marty Tarupo's family. I had the opportunity to grow close to him over the past 2 years, in which we would spend hours on the phone. And so I can only understand if the impact he had on me over these hours. I can only understand the impact he had with his personal family, the folks that got to see him every day. So every prayer I can in the world to his family. I want to send the prayers out to the family of a young man, young Jackson from South Atlanta High School, band member who tragically lost his life over the holiday. I want to send every prayer we can to South Atlanta High School band and drum line. We will be at the school this week to stand with you. And lastly, I want to say we need to continue to pray against mental health. This morning, I received an email at 7:15 a.m. From Dr. Antoinette Bonnie Kennedy Bailey, the vice president of Lincoln University of Missouri. And she tragically killed herself today. And so when we talk about mental health and we talk about the things that's going on in the world, I want to just make sure we're praying for people out here, and we standing with folks. So I want to pray for her husband. I want to pray for the entire Lincoln University family who are attached to, who love Ms. Bonnie. So I want to say thank you, President, for allowing me the opportunity to speak, and we got to grow. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Waits.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to take a moment to let our colleagues know that former State Representative Pam Stevenson had a devastating fire that completely totaled her home. There will be a fundraiser this evening, or an opportunity to support this family, at the Real Steel Sports Bar and Grill. This is near Wesley Chapel Road, and this is being hosted by Commissioner Larry Johnson. Representative Stevens represented portions of DeKalb and Gwinnett County. She also sat on the Grady Hospital Board for many, many years, and has made many contributions to the city of Atlanta as well as the state of Georgia. So please keep former Representative Pamela Stevens' son and her husband in your prayers. And finally, on the 10th, we're hosting another job fair. This is for individuals who've had challenges with their background, those who are formerly incarcerated. This will be at the Workforce Center at 818 Pollard Boulevard on January 10th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Currently, there are 22 employers that will be supporting this event. So if you know of anyone that has had some challenges with their background, or those who are formerly incarcerated, on January 10th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. we'll be over at 818 Pollard Boulevard, the WorkSource building. There's ample parking there, and we hope that you'll come out and take a look at the resources available to you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilmember Lewis.
Two quick announcements. January 17th.
I just want to do a moment of silence before we get to announcements, if we can. So just hold that just for a minute. Any other acknowledgements? I have two brief ones. One, Sam Friedman passed recently. Sam was a founding member of the PATH Foundation Board and was extremely instrumental to the building of trails and green spaces throughout our city. He was one of the first of a small group who envisioned what would eventually become Freedom Path, other paths throughout the city, Silver Comet Trail, Beltline, all have their roots back to Sam's good work. And also Terry Maple, who was asked by then Mayor Andrew Young to be the director of Zoo Atlanta, and is really credited for making Zoo Atlanta into a nationally and internationally recognized institution that it is today. A wonderful city asset that Terry led into what we now know as being a very successful institution. So to the family of both of these folks who gave so much to the city and to the region, I just want us to send our condolences. With that, and all those who are unnamed, could we take a brief moment of silence? Thank you. Now we'll move on to other general remarks. Councilmember Lewis.
Thank you, President. Two quick remarks. January 17th, we'll have a job fair at Roselle Fan Recreation Center. The job fair, we pushed it back to later in the day, so folks, we know folks want new jobs, so we pushed it back to 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Job fair, Roselle Fan Recreation Center on Cleveland Avenue, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. And my last update will be this Thursday and Friday. We'll be participating in helping people early for Dr. King Day. And at Roselle Fan, we'll be doing 1,000 meals with choices for kids. Thursday is the pack day. Friday is the give out day. We do need volunteers for both days. We are expecting 1,000 families. We need at least 100 volunteers for both days. And so if you need a way to give back to the community, we're going to treat Dr. King Day as a day on, not a day off. Please volunteer with District 12 right here, Roselle Fan. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Dozier.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to extend to not only our District 4 constituents, but also folks that live, work, and play in South Downtown, including folks in this building, that we will be hosting a public safety town hall focused on South Downtown on January the 24th. It'll be at noon. The intent is to, number one, meet some of the public safety stakeholders, whether it's APD, whether it's PAD, whether it's code enforcement, whether it's MARTA, to talk about some of the challenges that folks have been experiencing in this part of the downtown community. I don't know if y'all saw the news this morning. Unfortunately, someone was stabbed at 5 Points MARTA station, and just with a lot of other conversations that we have around 184 Forsyth Street, we want to make sure people know that we intend to make sure that this is one of the safest parts of the city. We're going to have a town hall conversation followed by a walk and talk. So that's why we're doing it at the lunchtime hour. So I hope you all will join us. Once again, it is January the 24th at noon. We'll be meeting at Underground Atlanta, which is kind of where the northern end of South Downtown begins. And I hope you will join us in a couple of weeks. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Amos.
There we go. A couple of congratulations in order. Congratulations to Jasper Jewell, the former athletic director for Atlanta Public Schools, who just retired with 30 years of service to our children in Atlanta Public Schools. Also, congratulations to Ms. Erica Mitchell, who earlier today was sworn in and also was elected as the chair of the Atlanta Board of Education. And then last but not least, have two more. Congratulations to our very own Georgia State University for winning the Idaho Potato Bowl over the holiday, 45 to 22. And then to the District 3 Institute of Technology, better known as Georgia Tech. They won their bowl game 30 to 17 over UCF.
Thank you. Councilmember Bond.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just wanted to announce that our Hello Fresh this week will be at the Ben Hill United Methodist Church at 2099 Fairburn Road this Wednesday, January 10th at 2 p.m. But on January the 24th, we will celebrate the 1 millionth meal served benchmark. We have exceeded 3 million pounds of food distributed over the last 3.5 years, but the 1 millionth meal will be celebrated January 24th. And these are meals served inside of the Atlanta city limits, served with our partners here at Atlanta City Hall, our Office of International Affairs, and the other nonprofits and food establishments and churches that help us to distribute this every week. So we will be doing a big to-do in March, but if you'd like to continue to help us out and volunteer every Wednesday, we still have the need. My knees and back aren't getting any younger as we pass these boxes out, but so we welcome the opportunity to partner with colleagues and other institutions around the city as we do this. So looking forward to that on January 24th, but please come out and join us as we continue to do this work.
Thank you. Councilmember Overstreet.
Thank you, and thank you, Councilmember Bond, for speaking about the meal give out on Wednesday. We do need everyone's help at Ben Hill United Methodist Church. And I also want to ask everyone to join us on MLK King Day Monday. We will be at the intersection of Cascade and 285, those ramp areas and that whole corridor that we share with City of South Fulton. So we're working with the Cascade Business Merchant Association and City of South Fulton to clean up the area. If you're looking for community service, please contact my office. We're happy to write letters of recommendation for anyone, any college students or any volunteers that are looking for something to do on Monday. Come and clean up with us at 10 a.m. at the interchange of Cascade and 285. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Dozier.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be quick. I did want to extend big congratulations to my colleague, Councilmember Faroki. I wasn't the last city council meeting, but wanted to congratulate him for welcoming a new member to his family. He beat me by about a week in the I don't want to call it a baby race, but I had some money on the table wagering to see what's going to happen first. But congratulations, brother.
Well, you and I did zero work very little work in the process, I should say. We're not the most important actors in this situation, but congratulations to you as well.
And I would just make a quick reminder before we adjourn that the state legislature went back into session today, as they regularly do every year. There are many issues to be advocated on behalf of the city. Many of us will be spending time, as well as the administration, but I would encourage all citizens to get in touch with their state senators and representatives and make your voices heard as legislation moves through that can directly affect all of our lives. And with that, I would call on the clerk to do the adjourning roll.
One further announcement, please, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
The 2023, December 31st, 2023 campaign contribution disclosure report is due. The deadline is January 9th, which is tomorrow. That's the December 31st, 2023 CCDR.
And if not, Ms. Evelyn Scott will come for you.
Quickly. Roll call. Council President Shipman.
Present.
Council members at large Michael Bond. Here. Matt Westmoreland. Here. Keisha Sean Waits. Council members Jason Winston. Here. Amir Faroki. Here. Byron D. Amos. Here. Jason Dozier. Present. Liliana Bakhtiari. Here. Alex Wan. Howard Shook. Mary Norwood. Here. Dustin Hillis. Andrea Boone. Marcy Collier Overstreet. Antonio Lewis.
Without objection, we will stand adjourned. Thanks, everybody. Happy New Year.